Should you rent to family and friends? Today on the Dailyist Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dailyist Show, a show not just for housing providers, but anybody looking to get a little bit more white space on your calendar. Today, we are going to be talking a little bit more about the rental business. Today's topic is, should you rent to friends and family? So this comes up all the time, not just for me personally, but also for people who are asking for help. And it usually starts out with, well, I knew I shouldn't have, but I did because it was family, right? So here's how generally it starts. So you own one or a few rental properties, right? And if you own one long enough, you're going to get the uncomfortable question from a close friend or a relative that's going to say something like, so I'm looking for a place to live, or my daughter's looking for a place to live, or some family members looking for a place to live. Do you have anything open? Now, while their approach might differ somewhat, it's not a question of if it's going to happen. It's going to be how many mortgage payments you're going to make before it does happen, and actually how many times it's going to happen. So, short of someone being a reincarnation of Hannibal Lecter, obviously you're going to try to help these people out that are closest to you. That makes sense. What's more difficult, though, is saying a delicate thank you, but no to that same person who you know is breeding roosters in the basement of their current rental home. Obviously, if you're for purely emotional support reasons, of course, right? All right, so let's get to it. Reason number one, it's not that you can't keep it separate, but it's because they can't keep it separate. All right, let's get into that. Nothing at all is more frustrating than dealing with someone that you know personally that feels as if you're treating them unfairly in business simply because you're expecting them to to act like a normal customer, right? You might have no problem emotionally separating friends and family and business. The reality, and thus the problem, is that they can't. So somehow, even the people that are closest to you somehow seem to conveniently forget that you still have a mortgage payment to make, repairs to make once in a while, and not to mention bread and milk to buy for yourself or your own family, right? But by the way, those rules that you have in place, somehow those don't apply to them either. Keep in mind that even though it's your son, daughter, nephew, or best friend's adopted dog walker, you must absolutely all the time enforce all of your rules. That means every single one of them, including, okay, cover the kids' ears, running an application on them. I know, crazy, right? You have to treat them just like any other person that you wouldn't know. Of course, if you don't, you're just going to have to be okay and put yourself into a mental place where you're okay to let them live for free and let them do whatever it is that they want. Reason number two, they're going to want you to give them a deal. It's the reality. They're going to want you to give them a deal. Think about it. If you backed your car into a telephone pole and you know someone that knows how to remove dents, all right, are you more likely to bring your car to a friend that's in the business or to a business that you just looked up randomly and found online? All things being equal, you'd likely bring your car to a friend with maybe hopes of getting a little bit of a break on the bill, right? That makes sense. For most people, it's natural to think that way, to leverage your network as best they can. Personally, I'd rather pay a fair but full price with no expectation, with no strings attached, for having to make a similar concession on my rental units should the time ever come. Saving $100 on my dent repair today, I don't want that translating into thousands of dollars of lost rent and damages in the future, and that's somehow supposed to be equitable. Another slant on that is that if your friend or family member does work in exchange for rent or on the security deposit, right? I have always thought this was a terrible idea for many reasons that I'm not going to go into right now. I just prefer to stay out of the barter business altogether. After all, you can't pay your electric bill with someone else's labor. All right, reason number three, the issue of paying you or paying the bank. This is payment incongruity. If my slide would come up, there we go. All right. Payment incongruity. Consider this analogy. Let's say that you only have $500 to pay two bills that have come due. If you owed the bank $500 and you owed your brother $500, who are you most likely to delay making the payment to? Yeah, there's all sorts of partial payment shenanigans you can do, but I'm just saying, unless your brother has a collections guy named Thor who's going to tune you up with a hammer, you're most likely going to call and ask your brother for a pass so you can pay the bank. Why? Well, the bank doesn't care, and you know this. They're going to start the collections process, and they're going to start calling you at all hours, making problems on your credit, as well as charging you all sorts of fees and defaulting interest rates and all that other stuff. Your sweet old brother that isn't going to cause much problems, right? Especially while you're there carving the Easter ham. There may be some grumbling from him that's largely going to be manageable. And honestly, you know what? Maybe he might even forget about it after a while. The problem here is a lack of infrastructure on your part. The bank, right, has a collections department. And again, they also don't have the inability for someone to separate their emotions from the transaction. Your niece needs tires for her car? Sorry about the rent. Your neighbor's son got hurt in his last MMA fight and can't work? Sorry about the rent. Your neighbor's nephew's girlfriend just had to pay for her cat Mitten's whiskerectomy? Yeah, sorry about the rent. Basically, anytime your friend or family member has a crisis, somehow that becomes your crisis. The fact is that somehow their problem becomes your problem, and that is a big problem for your rental business. And reason number four, things can go really bad. Really bad. I got a call one day from a man looking for a property manager for his home. And he lived several states away and was letting his son and daughter in law and their two little boys live in his rental property that was here in my area. And he had thought that the house just needed a little bit of work. So he sent me there to check things out to see what we could do for him. Now, I'd been in the rental business for over 20 years. I don't get surprised by much anymore. This one, wow. This 5-bedroom home, it was about 2,800 square feet, was full. And I mean floor to ceiling full. There was nothing immediately recognizable as furniture or even any visible section of floor in this house. I was completely amazed at how much stuff had been abandoned in this house. To add to the mess, this place was trashed. Broken windows, stained and torn carpeting, broken doors and cabinets, all topped off with like this overwhelming and ungodly pet smell. And I was tasked to inform Dad of the condition of the house and how much it would rent for after we did, according to him, a quick cleanup and paint of the interior, which is what he assumed was all that was needed. Personally, had I been in that family, I probably would have committed a felony. That son and his wife had cost his father a minimum of $20,000 in damages, and that's not including the amount of back rent that was owed, plus the future rent he would lose just in the time it would take to get the house back on the market and habitable again. Ultimately, it cost this man the ownership of the house as it ended up going back to the bank. Can you imagine what that conversation is over Thanksgiving turkey? Yeah, not good. So, look, there's nothing wrong with wanting to help people, especially people that are closest to you. If you're going to help them, though, help them out of your profits, not out of your revenues. Thing is, a lot of these problems go away if you have established infrastructure that takes the individual landlord, you, out of the day to day operations. By having someone that lacks a personal relationship handle your friends and family, issues like running applications, charging late fees, and enforcing rules suddenly become a non issue for you. So if you're that individual landlord, look, put some infrastructure in place like property management software or a phone system that does not ring to your cell phone. Consider hiring a virtual assistant, attorney, accountant, or non family member that's going to perform the collections, process the applications, and enforce all the rules. This way, when those friends and family come calling, someone else will be there to take the call. Just be sure that you have the discipline to stay out of the way and let them do their job. All right, everybody, that's all I have. If you found this helpful and would like to continue the discussion, head on over to landlordcoach.com and click contact me and head on there and look for some other tools on there as well. I hope, again, you guys have some awesome plans for the weekend. Love to hear about those as well. But right now, I'm going to wrap up and we're excited because we're having the baby shower this weekend. So looking forward to that. All right, everybody, please be sure to place a value on your free time because if you don't, someone else will. And most important, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.